All right. So let's begin by just taking a minute to settle and fully arrive. So just wherever you are, you can close your eyes or lower your gaze, allow your hands to rest gently in your lap, and just take a breath. And just notice your breathing. How is your breath this morning? It may be fast or slow, deep or shallow. However you're breathing is fine. And noticing any thoughts that might be present and allowing those to soften. And noticing any emotions that may be present without trying to change anything, simply noticing. And noticing the body, any aches or pains, pressure of your feet on the floor or your body in the chair. Again, simply noticing without trying to change anything. Just allowing yourself to become fully present. And let's take one more deep breath in together, breathing in through the nose, out, and inviting some movement into your fingers and toes, and opening your eyes if they were closed. Maybe inviting a stretch if that feels good. And I want to welcome you to Leading with Love. So, so who is this guy? A lot of you know this guy. So my name's Craig Souza, and I am a member of the Conscious Leadership Guild and a consultant and meditation teacher, and spent about 30 years in corporate enterprise sales, and left that role uh, in February of this year. So I am a an independent consultant and CEO of Business Awakens. So I'm getting used to saying that still. And the the workshop that you're gonna you know experience was something that I created for HP, which is where I worked. And this was for a leadership day for the Business Impact Network. So this is the employee affinity groups. So the LGBTQ group and the Black Employee Network and the Women's Network and the Veterans Network and the People with Disabilities Network. Um, and and what I was just noticing was hearing more and more talk, especially during COVID, about empathy and compassion and love, and the words sort of being used interchangeably. And they're, in my mind, fairly distinct things. And so this workshop experience is really an attempt to kind of put some really to share my understanding. So I'm not going to say this is the real definition of empathy. This is the real definition of compassion. But what is my understanding of empathy, compassion, love, and how do we bring that into our leadership style? And so that is what we're going to do today. How we'll roll is, again, we're going to be spending about 24 minutes of our time together in breakout rooms. So the invitation is to just be generous with each other and really hold and honor a sense of belonging. So just greeting each other with friendliness and with compassion. And all are welcome. So you are included. The people who are meant to be here are here today, and I'm excited about that. And take care of yourself. So people are in different places on their journey, and we're 3 years into this pandemic period. A lot of people are starting to say it's the post-pandemic period, but we're kind of still in it. I'm going to a meditation retreat next week, and I have to take a COVID test before I go. So it's still a thing. So let's take care of ourselves and each other. So leading with love. The CEO of PG&E, which is the power company in San Francisco, talks about leading with love, and that's her mission. She wants to lead PG&E with love, and more leaders are talking about this. But what I wanted to do is just invite folks. I was going to do the chat, but it's a small enough group. Maybe just come off mute and just when I say leading with love, just in a few words, what does that bring up for you? How would you define that?
Well, we use the word love in so many ways in this language and culture. And so for me, it means the kind of authenticity and seeing of one another that ideally exists, as I say, from the boardroom to the bedroom, at the grocery store, with siblings, with parents, with friends, and right here with members. I mean, with any human being, soul, spirit with whom we interact, to be able to start with that openness and see if the other can meet us there. And I feel that to be really loving.
Thank you. Anyone else?
For me, it's about very much what was just said as well, but also about being open. So, love encompasses so much, and it's hard to encapsulate that into just a couple of words on here. But for me, leading with love is about being open and open-hearted, because when our ego comes into play and when things wobble us, we tend to close off and shut down. So I suppose it's staying in that open space and trying to understand, accept, and get to really know people and situations rather than becoming defensive.
Thank you.
Well, I would say I echo both comments, basically the same concept, different angle looking at it. One, love to me is that essence of oneness. We recognizing we are part of the whole. And to be able to, again, that openness that was mentioned earlier, when that is there and we can accept that as a different part of ourselves, looking at things from a different perspective, it expands our vision, our understanding, and also deeper connection with each other. As was said before, we use love in many different occasion. I love music, I love ice cream, I love my beloved, and we use the love. And the moment that I am one with my others, that is the space of love, that when there is no separation. And that's it. I just have to mention something. I got this notice about this event very late. And 2 days ago, we just got our visa for going to Portugal. So I have a lot of things on my agenda, but I didn't want to miss it. However, I'm waiting for a couple of things to happen. I may have to excuse myself early. So I didn't want to miss it, but I'm here and I'll try to be as long as it's possible to stay here and learn. Thank you. I'm done.
And that reminds me, just if anyone does need to step away, please tell Jessica, who's the Conscious Leadership Guild account, because when she creates breakout rooms, if you're going to have to step away, she'll be sure to not put you in a breakout room. So thank you. All right,
Frank,
Frank,
hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Lead with love means to me just compassionate connection with others.
Thank you.
So it will be two perspectives. One perspective as a CEO, when you say live with love, what's that mean? Another perspective is I'd like to reduce the language into a 10-year-old can understand language. So which is treat others like your family, like your dad, like your kid's sister, like your brother, like your uncle. You won't treat them any other way. Live with love.
Thank you. Okay. All
And
right.
Sam reminded me that leading with love is, as most of us have had to learn, isn't always loving them the way we like to be loved. It's loving them the way they like to be loved.
This is great. All right. So I think we've got some good ideas of kind of the broad definition. And
Yeah, I just found my mute button.
ah,
So I hope I'm not crashing in here. A great question. And yeah, I find love to be multi-contextual. And the most common is love as an ideal, something that we like to say, but can't really reach. And then there is love as a feeling, and that's certainly valid. When I lead with love, it is with love itself, love as a resource and love as an intelligence. And the power of that for me is that love knows what to do. I don't have to think or feel about it, although those can be involved, but really it will show the way because it knows what to do if I get out of the way.
Great.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you. And I'm glad you're here, Myron. So let's talk a little bit about where we're at kind of in the world. So, many of you who are here, know John Renish or knew John Renish, and something that, kind of annoyed him early on in the pandemic is everybody talking about wanting to get back to normal. And he was like, why? Because normal wasn't that great. There's a lot of stress in the system, a lot of depression, and rushing around, and environmental degradation. And so one of the work streams that this workshop kind of came out of was this work stream that became a group exploring why would we want to go back to normal. And so it feels like right now, as we're in this kind of quasi post-pandemic period, where people are pretending that it's over, we're in this sort of liminal space between where we were in 2018 and wherever it is that we're headed into this post-normal period. And just part of how I think about this post-normal period is it's a period where things are consistently unstable. There's just change is constant and it's accelerating. And how are we going to be able to adapt to that? And using our intellects solely is maybe not the best strategy. So perhaps we need to use our hearts and also our bodies. Our body intelligence is kind of a tuning fork to really pay attention to what's going on in different ways. So this is just a framework that we're talking about. And then the other question, that, we're holding is, as we move into this post-normal period, what kind of leadership is required? Is the leadership that has gotten us to this point the type of leadership that is going to help with what's coming towards us from the future? And obviously, I don't think so, which is one of the reasons we're here today. And so, how do we kind of develop more of, we hear a lot of people talk about more heart-centered leadership, but what does that actually look like? So leading with love is not something that just people in the Conscious Leadership Guild are talking about. And so this is my definition, is consciously leading in a way that enhances well-being for all. Consciously leading in a way that enhances well-being for all. And when I say all, I'm also thinking about the planet, thinking about the trees, the air, the water, as well as human beings. And so how do we really consider this? And this is not just people in San Francisco talking about this. The Boston Consulting Group put out a paper in 2020, and I love this quote: "There's a shift towards increasingly valuing human leadership." Like, who was leading before? But it's like this new idea of human leadership that is crystallized at the COVID-19 crisis, and for which there is no going back. A visionary and decisive leader may jeopardize the engagement of his or her teams if he or she lacks human qualities. This is agnostic of gender and age, which confirms even more what our times require: heart before anything else. And so this is the hippies at the Boston Consulting Group are saying this. So it's it's out there. It's out there. And we hear a lot, and I'm one of the things that I do that kind of got me into this field is 5 years ago, I joined the teacher training for Search Inside Yourself, which is a mindfulness and emotional intelligence training program that was born out of Google, and now it's a separate company, and they bring mindfulness training into Google and HP and Meta and Procter and Gamble and SAP. So it's like this big thing, and a big part of that training is, what are the skills for empathy? What are leadership competencies for empathy and compassion? So we're going to unpack those a little bit, and then we're going to ask, what's love got to do with it? What's love but a secondhand emotion? So this was, I attended a talk at San Francisco Zen Center with Philippe Golden, who was one of the neuroscientists that did a lot of work with Search Inside Yourself. And so what I really liked was he, in that talk, unpacked empathy in a really elegant way that made it easy for me to understand. Is the first part is there's cognitive perspective taking. I'm using my brain. I'm thinking about, what is this person feeling? And then there's emotional resonance. So if this person is happy, maybe I'm resonating with that. I'm feeling happy. If this person is sad, I'm perhaps resonating with that, and I'm also feeling sad. The third piece, and this is really important, so we distinguish empathy from emotional contagion, is this is not about me, this is my story about that. And if we're really clear that there is what the other person is experiencing, and then there's me, this is how we avoid emotional contagion and getting caught up in what that other person is feeling. And then we can be more fully present for them. And this is how we take care of ourselves. So that's just, a definition of empathy that works for me. The way I think about compassion, and I took, it's a really useful training for anyone who's interested. Stanford School of Medicine has the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education. and they do it's an 8-week, I think it was 8 weeks. It's the compassion cultivation training. And so it was designed for first responders, people in the medical community, and to really help with skills for compassion. And so what I at the end of the day, for me, compassion is empathy, and it adds action. So we have the feeling with, so we're paying attention to another person, and just the being with is an act of compassion. And we're moving from being self-oriented to being others-oriented. So we're really thinking about, others. And then the important piece is taking action to alleviate the suffering. So how can I serve? And that can be an actual action, or it can be as simple as a thought and a genuine, sincere wish for this other person to be free from suffering. And it's also an orientation. So really orienting from kindness. So this was a working definition of compassion that I like. And then love, for me, how I think about it is it's what brings us together. With apologies to Captain and to Neil, who I think probably most of the folks on this call remember Captain and to Neil. Love will bring us together. And if you don't, you can Google it. Um, and the third piece of this that love adds is acceptance. So how can I unconditionally accept this person as they are? I don't have to like their actions. I don't have to, agree with them, but how can I unconditionally accept them? So that's the third piece. And I was looking for quotes because I wanted to have a quote on the slide, because it's not a good PowerPoint if you don't have a quote for the slide. And I was just kind of surprised to see Sigmund Freud show up. Like, really? I tend to think of Jung as more the love guy, but up popped this quote from Sigmund Freud in 1952. In the development of mankind as a whole, just as an individual's, love alone acts as the civilizing factor, in the sense that it brings a change from egoism to altruism. And so a lot of what's going on in our culture right now is not necessarily all that loving. And so I like this point that it's the civilizing factor. It's the thing that can actually allow us to be together and really move us from just being self-centered, stuck in our egos, to thinking more about, again, how can we serve others? And this came up in some of the definitions of love at the very beginning that all of you were sharing. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, another thing that comes up a lot is this idea of self-love, self-compassion. And one thing that I'm really interested in is, in my work life, I got involved a lot in culture, corporate culture and culture initiatives, and how do we create cultures of belonging in the DEIB space. And one thing that I've been really focused on in the past few years is our inner culture, So how is our culture inside? Do we have cultures of belonging and inclusion and love and acceptance between our ears? Or would Patty from HR maybe like to have a word with your inner critic? So how do we really think about this part and pay attention to our inner culture? And are we being kind and compassionate and loving to ourselves? And if we're not, can we actually be kind and loving and compassionate to others? And so just paying attention to our inner culture. So these are just some thought starters. And so what I really hope to begin with this workshop is a conversation. So we're going to go into groups of 3. And what I'm going to invite you to try on is whole being listening. So a lot of times when we're listening, especially in work contexts, we're listening with our brains, and we're listening because we want to be really smart We want to give people advice, and we want to help. And we also want to make sure that that other person knows we heard what they said. And so what I want to do is just relieve you of that pressure. So we're going to be doing whole being listening, where each person is going to have 3 minutes. And if the person sharing is speaking, you're just simply listening. And listening means not talking. So that doesn't mean, you have to like look with through the serious look on your face. You can react and nod and smile, but give that person who is sharing the gift of your attention for the full 3 minutes. Whole being listening looks like listening with your brain, but also listening with your heart. And so if you're really fully listening with your heart and with your body, and just noticing what body sensations come up as the person is sharing, what emotions might come up as that person is sharing. If you do that, you probably won't remember every word they say, and that's okay. You're off the hook. There will not be a test. So just simply relax and allow yourself to listen with your full being. And for the person who is sharing, share as an exercise in self-discovery. This is a conversation. This is a dialogue. We're discovering together. So you're not here to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, and I'm the presenter. So, and also, if you don't feel like sharing, silence is a form of participation, and silence can actually be a beautiful and useful thing. So you can also just sit quietly for 3 minutes until it's the next person's time to go. And these are the prompts. How can I show up as a loving leader? Or am I being loving and compassionate toward myself? So you can choose either of these topics or both. So one of the comments that came up in our breakout room was, we're working with leaders, and they're like, oh yeah, I lead with love. It's like, oh, how do you do that with yourself? And crickets. It's like, oh, I don't do that with myself. That's that sounds like an odd thing. But I think it's super important, this idea of how do we actually align our inner cultures. So do we have empathy and compassion and love for ourselves? And because how we are with ourselves is, in my view, I'm not saying it's right, but in my opinion, my hypothesis is that how we are with ourselves will translate into how we relate with others. And I'm assuming most of you, are, if you're in the, Conscious Leadership Guild, or you found out about this on LinkedIn, you're joining because you're in a business context, right? So how do we align our internal culture to our way of relating with others, which will then translate into how we work with others? And if my inner culture is, if this is a toxic culture up here, then probably, that's going to be what we get and what we see as we relate with others and as we work with others. So a lot of it just comes right back to doing our own work, doing our own work, doing our own work. And if we can do that, if we can align our inner cultures and our ways of relating and our ways of working with an eye towards what will enhance everyone's well-being. And I think that's really important, is what I'm going to say or do, or how I'm going to react in this setting or to this person, is it going to enhance everyone's well-being? And that can be a really useful question. And also I can ask that in my inner community, right? Is my inner critic enhancing everyone's well-being? Well, maybe not. And so maybe I can look at that. And so how do we actually practice this? So my friend Maru is on here, and I know her through Search Inside Yourself. We were in the teacher training together. And so we are about to do what is, for most of the Search Inside Yourself teachers that I know, the favorite part of the 2-day Search Inside Yourself class. And so this is in the, Leading with Compassion section. And what we do is we take people in business settings and we have them sit knee to knee and actually send each other wishes for loving kindness and compassion. And it just changes the whole feeling of the room. And what it's actually about is, how do we intentionally generate feelings of compassion for another person. Because we're not in person, what I'm going to invite you to do is, I'm assuming we're all Zoom experts after 3 years of COVID. If you know how to use the pin function and pin someone else's video, choose someone that you were maybe in the breakout room with together earlier. And we have another. I guess everyone knew we were doing this meditation, so I've got more. So go ahead and just pin the video of someone that you were maybe in the breakout room with, and so you can focus on this person. And so during this practice, I will ask you to look at that other person, and then you don't have to look at their video the whole time. You can go ahead and close your eyes if you would like. If you've pinned someone else's video, and just picture this person who you may or may not know. And let's begin by just settling with a few deep breaths. Just breathing in and breathing out. And just becoming aware that on your screen, on the other side of the internet, sitting in their home or office, there's a person in front of me. This is a fellow human being, just like me. And take a moment to just look at your partner. Just a few seconds of just noticing this person. And now feel free to look down or close your eyes. And let us consider a few things. This person in front of me has a body and a mind just like me. This person in front of me has feelings, emotions, and thoughts just like me. This person in front of me has at some point in their life been sad, disappointed, angry, hurt, confused, just like me. This person in front of me has at some point in their life been sad, disappointed, angry, hurt, or confused, just like me. This person in front of me has in their life experienced physical and emotional pain and suffering, just like me. This person in front of me wishes to be free from pain and suffering, just like me. This person in front of me has experienced many joys and times of happiness, just like me. This person in front of me wishes to be healthy, loved, and have fulfilling relationships, just like me. This person in front of me wishes to be happy, just like me. And now let's allow some wishes to arise. I wish for this person in front of me to have the strength and the resources to navigate difficulties in life. I wish for this person in front of me to be free from pain and suffering. I wish for this person in front of me to be happy. I wish for this person to be loved. Because this person is a fellow human being, just like me. Now, take a moment to look at your partner again. Now, if you wish, you can close or lower your eyes. And if you'd like, I invite you to try extending these wishes further. May everyone here in this room be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be at peace. And then think of those that you love: family, close friends, pets. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be at peace. And if you'd like, I invite you to try extending these wishes further to other friends, coworkers, people in your community. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be at peace. And then if you're feeling really bold, see what it would be like to extend these wishes to everyone. May everyone be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be at peace. And finally, to yourself, don't forget yourself. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I be at peace. May I be loved. Now let's end with just a minute of resting the mind. So letting go of the practice, and just returning to gentle attention to the breath. And when you're ready, opening your eyes if they were closed, coming back into our space together. Thank you. So this is just a practice that that I love and that I wanted to share, but it's also really useful for it can be useful for challenging people, challenging situations, and for shifting our perspective towards one of being others oriented. And this is a micro practice that is taught in the Search Inside Yourself program that I liked, because we don't always have time to sit for 8 minutes and do a loving kindness meditation when we're in the middle of a busy day. So this could be a great thing to do before a conference call, or we have a meeting, maybe a meeting is with someone that we may be in conflict with, is to just take 3 breaths to first settle the mind, and then see a similarity with this person. This person also works at my company. This person also wants to be successful. This person wants to be happy. And then just offering a wish for kindness. I wish for this person to be happy. I wish for this person to be healthy. And so just holding this person in our mind and in our heart, and doing this 3 breath exercise, and then we join the Zoom meeting. And so it can be a very useful way to just be a micro practice for empathy and compassion and shifting our perspective. And so what I'd like to do now is we're going to go right back into our groups, and it'll probably be a different group. We're going to let the Zoom gods decide. And we're going to do the same whole being listening that we did before. So listening with our heart, listening with our body, as well as our minds. And having just done this meditation, see if the quality of how you are with others may have shifted slightly. How might that have shifted slightly? So we're going to do the same thing with our whole being listening. Again, just sharing really as an exercise of self-discovery. You're also welcome to just sit silently and giving the generosity of your full attention, listening to understand, not to respond or problem solve, and practicing welcoming. And so the invitation is to share your experience with the meditation, or maybe share how can you show up as a loving leader, or just sharing whatever feels most alive for you at this moment. Okay. So I just wanted to share this cartoon, which I really loved. This goes a lot to inner culture, and I'm just reminded. I My friend Tom Eddington, who many of you also know, connected me with a Native American shaman who I've worked with now for probably 7 or 8 years, and he does energy work, and he'll end the session where you'll kind of repeat back some phrases, and the first time we did it, he was asking me to repeat back, I am enough, I have enough, and more prosperity is on the way. And I could not get the words I am enough out. It was really hard. And it brought tears. I was like, wow. And so so much of us is, it's certainly part of my work, is just really being able to notice that. Can you guys, I'm actually sharing the screen. Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, I just realized I still have the little bar up there asking me to share the screen. So I saw this comic and I'm like, oh, that's going into my permanent file on my laptop. And it seemed like a good thing here is, are we good enough? Good enough for what? This is our brain, right? Our ego, good enough to be loved, to follow our dreams, to be happy. And the heart is going, yes, 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 yes. It's always yes. And so just, I wanted to just leave you with this thought that you are enough. And if we come from that orientation of enough, I think the world would be a much better place, because it feels like scarcity, and that story of scarcity gets us into a lot of trouble. And so maybe the more we can let go of that and accept that we are enough, then maybe we can create a post-normal future that does indeed enhance everyone's well-being. So I'm just gonna leave you with that thought. And so the invitation is for all of us to also just let love lead us. I love that. That was something that was shared in one of my breakout rooms. It's how can love lead us? And I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining today. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you had a good time. So.